All right. Welcome back, everybody, to High Heels to Happy Feels. I'm Natalie,
And I'm Stephanie.
and we are so excited to have you. So, Steph, I I want to kind of take us on a sideshow only because recently, and you probably have experienced this too, where you live, is a lot of the kids are home for having just the summer off for college. So, like everything is inundated right now. And it's been kind of an experience that I've been watching only because I have a kid of college age and his friends are here, so they're hanging out at the house. And it's just everybody being home. So I was thinking about like multi-generational living, and mom and I went and did something today, and we got our pedicures. So and when we
Nice.
were talking, mom had mentioned to the folks that were helping us, that she lived with me at the house. And it just keeps bringing me back to multi-generational stuff. So I figured that that would be a really good topic only because I imagine a lot of folks are experiencing that right now. And I think, it's something that is getting to be more familiar. But the one thing, so there's a few different things I think we could talk about in this. But like the first thing that I think about is we become younger when we are around our families. And I know that this is true for all of those college kiddos coming home. Even when we would go visit like our grandparents in Nebraska or even around mom, I like pick up my old role about who I am, or like I ask her permission to do things. And I think that's just an interesting aspect of like the experience that we go through right now.
And I think that's really incredibly valid. And it's true because when there's something about, and we'll talk a little bit about that too, because when you'd mentioned talking about this, we were like, oh, yeah, because we can talk about the energies and the boundaries and the things that come with that from a perspective of just even what we do with immersive spirit, right? And how the soul pillars play into it later. But we do become younger, and it's also something to look out for, right? And it's funny because you and I had talked about this earlier as well, because there was the statistics I saw, things on Good Morning America, and then there's actually another stat I saw. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans ages 25 to 34 are now living with a parent or grandparent. That is the
That's
highest
crazy.
level, right? It's the highest level ever recorded. That's a July 2026 census data analysis. Steve Harvey reported it on his show. I, and that has nothing to do with failure to launch, right? Like you're talking
No.
about, yeah, this has to do with these kids have jobs. I mean, the ones that are coming home, or the parents that are living at home, or the parents that are getting roommates with other parents have jobs. That is not the problem. The problem is that our economy is not kept up, and it just makes sense.
Yeah,
It just
it
makes
does.
sense.
It does. Yeah, it's very interesting because I just had a reading the other day, and she is a lovely woman, and it was so strange. Like, after we're kind of wrapping up, and we were talking about multi-generational living, which is why I've been kind of watching this. Um, she was talking about a family compound, like we had talked about, and I thought that that was very interesting. And I think that money is definitely an aspect. Like, it is so hard. The interest rates, like all of the things that are compounding on younger kids, but it's not even just younger kids. You're right. It's not just a failure to launch. Like this is in 30s and 40s, and everybody is just sharing the expenses of what it's like to live at home. But then that adds a level of complication too, because like you're talking about, all of the energies that get impacted as they come into a house together,
Hmm.
like how does all of that play? But it was really interesting because much like we were talking when we were younger, and even more recently, talking about buying land and just having everybody kind of near us but afar. Like you live in your own space, you have to be over there, but we're going to be
Right.
in the same general vicinity.
Right,
Like
right.
we're not alone in that feeling.
No. And it's, we've always talked about our little family compound kind of thing, right? Not to be creepy compound, but it was all about we want to have a nice big house and we're all able to eat together and all of that, but we have all of these mini cabin-esque type homes so that everybody's got their private space. And we're kind of creating that in terms of what we're doing. It's just everybody's cramming back into one house. And what's really interesting about this, because another thing we were, what got us on this tick to start was talking about just family energies in general
Hmm.
and going and looking at holiday seasons, for example, because 9 in 10 adults, this is taken from the American Psychological Association, because we did a lot of different little things, and this is cited by St. Olaf College and St. Olaf College News, apologies. But 9 in 10 adults say they feel more stressed during the holiday season from anticipating family conflict, missing loved ones, or avoiding traditions. And here we turn that around on its head and we move home. And we're moving home to avoid stress, to avoid, you know, avoid the money issues. And so it's like, wow, what a
That
180.
that is really interesting. And I think when we talk about like just families in general, when we return to our families, and you guys will note it, like she mentioned holidays, so I'm going to kind of stick with that for a second. When you're in holidays, or maybe other big family events like family reunions or a wedding or a funeral, because that's when we are around our families a lot. But you walk into those situations and your family is like remembering your old software. They remember you as the teenager or as the overweight one or as the difficult child or the responsible one or the funny one. Like, and they have a hard time. Like, it's so funny with the boys. And I knew it was going to happen as they were growing. Every time someone would look at me and be like, I cannot believe how much they've grown. And that's a very like standard statement at weddings and funerals and, and all of the
Everywhere
things
you go.
because we assign an identity to our family members. And when they outgrow that identity, not in front of our eyes, we still put them back in that box. And I think that makes it really uncomfortable. That makes it really like irritating to be around your family member because you're like, you don't know who I am. You're not listening to who I am now.
Right, right. You haven't seen me grow up. And you know what's really, but at the same time, we're just as guilty because
Yeah,
look at what's the first thing we did with the boys? We recorded their little recording because when they wanted to change their voice memos on their phone, right? Their mailbox, and we're like, but that's your little voice before big boy stuff,
right?
right? And don't you're like, hang on, and we have to get our own voice recorders out to record the message before it's gone.
Right. When they used to think that
And
that
this
was
is a
cute.
6'3",
Right.
240-pound child looking at me, and I'm going, but you have dimples and you talk like this. Not hardly,
Right.
right? Not hardly. And it's really, you mentioned a good point, and I think there's, it goes both ways because the 25-year-old, 27-year-old moving home and they can't go anywhere because the parents are like, what time are you going to be home? Um, so, but
Yeah.
at the same time, the parents are going to turn that around and go, but I pay the bills, and you got to honor some thresholds here because it is my house. And the parents are turning this around and they're like, you know, they're not looking at their savings accounts because I'm sorry, what are savings accounts? We haven't contributed to that in 2 years. I mean, that's another whole survey from the street. 43% of parents say they're cutting their own spending to support a child. 43%. What does that do for retirement? Your kid has to move home so you can retire because once they go to work, you're going to need their income to pay the freaking mortgage. Holy crap.
Right. And I think like everything has kind of gone on its head. Like when we were young or when our parents were young, at 18, you moved out, you were really kind of on your own. And even like our parents' generation, they kept us home a little longer and supported us a little longer. Or, we kind of moved in and out of their homes until we got on our feet. And I think our generation is allowing like kids to stay home until they're in their 30s. And they're
Yeah.
able to, because I think what we've defined for success for our children is a lot different than the expectations we had many moons ago. And so many things have changed.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think the other thing that's really interesting is even though that has all changed and we're allowing our kids to live with us longer or having, not allowing, but that has changed anyway. I think the conversations haven't. I think that there's really uncomfortable conversations that come along with living with your children.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to do the dishes? And who's going to pay this bill? And like, I don't think those conversations, like, it just happens, things get taken care of. But I don't think we spend nearly enough time about who's buying groceries, who does the dishes, what happens if somebody loses a job.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and those are the conversations that we need to have as we start doing this multi-generational living because
Absolutely.
we're no
And
longer
those,
defined in these roles.
and I think that comes part of that comfort level, right? As you were talking about, because now it's, I mean, you want to talk about transparent and authentic. The most awkward and horrible conversation you have are the ones that you have with the people that you love the most. And so you look at these kind of conversations and it's like, okay, mom, okay, kid, okay, dad, I want you to live here, but we need to come up with some ground rules.
Right. Well, and
Oh, okay, you know. But
right,
at the
like
same
moving
time, you would do it with a roommate.
for
You,
sure.
if you went back to college, you'd be like, hey, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays are my night, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays are yours, Sunday, it's whoever gets to it or whoever's doing whatever. You wouldn't think anything about it. And yet when it comes to our family, it's like become some sort of bogus thing that it's like, oh, it's all right, I got it. And then that builds up that entire passive aggressive comments underneath.
Yep.
So then the snarkiness starts and the taking little pot shots and the slamming things around. I do it too. I do it too. And so it's you got to set boundaries. You have got to set those boundaries. Otherwise, you're all going to make each other crazy. And like, this was what started it for me this week. This number, I was shocked. 40% of adults under 30 lived with a parent last year. That's up from
That's
37% in
wow.
2019. You got to remember 2019, 2020, we were starting to go into COVID. A record 1 in 3 Gen Z and young millennials were living at home in 2025. 1 in 3.
Wow.
That's more than during the pandemic.
Well, and I really, like you mentioned, there it isn't necessarily failure to launch.
No, it's
It's
money.
affordability, it's
Yeah.
caregiving, it's student debt, it's dementia, it's illness, it's divorce, it's things, childcare. Like childcare is so expensive. Like when my kids are fully grown, like I'm near the age of them being opportunity they can be out if they wanted to.
Hmm.
But I remember it was like $2,500, $3,000 a month.
Hmm.
And that was back 20 years ago. I can't even imagine, like,
What it is now.
because
It's
wages haven't kept up.
no. And that's the problem is our housing has doubled, tripled, depending upon location, right?
Hmm.
And our economy, I am sorry, I don't care what Head Cheetah says, our economy is not good. And when we have a strait closed, that is not helping the situation. So all of it is trickling. And so who's going to pay the price? The ones who can't get into a home.
Right.
I think about the timing of our homes and because we'd had a home before or so it's easier to buy the next one and that kind of thing. The kids, I mean, when prices for a house are 3 times and they're gone up 3 times over the last 10 years and the price of their salaries has gone up 1.5,
Right.
uh it's pretty obvious. Were you coming up with 10%, 15%, 20% down
Well, and
without?
if you think about like the CEO's pay versus their
Oh,
lowest level employee, it used to be like something like seven times, and now it's like 50 times their lowest
oh,
level
it's
employee.
ridiculous. And
It
their
hasn't kept up at
bonuses,
all. And the
sick.
other thing is if this administration can say that the economy is great, then how come we went from 32 trillion in debt to 39 trillion in debt?
Right.
Like it's like moving money on credit cards. You
Yeah. You're
just
robbing
people who
Peter to
look
pay
under the
Paul,
books are
right?
seeing that this is a lie. Like we're built on cards right now, and
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
am excited about the home bill that passed only because the signature wasn't signed, but it passed anyway because it was like a 10-day thing, where big corporations can't buy up all these single family homes,
I know
which I
it.
think was
I
a
love
big
that.
problem.
And I do too. And I think that's going to be a huge help. And I love the states that are taking initiative on affordable housing.
Yeah, me
And
too.
the thing is though, all the neighborhoods, and every neighborhood's guilty of it. All of us are guilty of it. That when the cities and towns start saying, look, we're going to do this affordable housing project in your neighborhood, they're like, oh, well, we really want affordable housing, but not here.
Right. Well,
Guess
and
what? I mean,
shouldn't we be having a conversation though about a livable wage?
that would be a really great conversation to have. I mean, I'm anxious to see how your boys will vote, for example. What are they going to be looking at? Where are the boomers who are moving back in to, because I'm sorry, has anybody looked at the cost of senior housing? Holy shnikes. My God. That's like
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. You
Seven
can't
to $11,000 for retirement living a month,
a month. And
depending
that's
on like
because
if
there
you needed
might
memory
be,
care. Yeah.
right, because there might be some nurses on site. And guess what? You get a couple of meals a day. Jesus, for $7,000 a month, I will move in a family of seniors and you guys all get fed and hang
And
out
that's
and
the
all.
low end. That's like
Right,
you have an apartment and they feed you dinner.
right. But oh, there's game night. Ugh,
Yeah,
gross.
bingo, game night. Yeah.
Gross. It is so frustrating to me. I get why everybody's moving home. It makes
Yeah.
sense. And I've always admired, and you and I have talked about this, and the Spanish populations, Mexican populations, because there's this huge just, well, why would you send anybody anywhere else? Why wouldn't they just come home?
Yeah,
And
they've
we're
been doing it
finally,
right all along.
right. They've been doing
Like
it the right way all the time, which is La
they're just
Familia, right?
multi-generational and they make space and it just works.
You just make space.
And they
Cars
have
can
good
sit outside,
conversations.
right? We're going to rebuild the garage and turn it into bedrooms and a bathroom. Yay.
And they have tough, real conversations right off the bat. Like there is
Oh,
no,
yeah. There's
yeah,
no pussyfooting around it because they've already gotten past this awkward stage that we in our society here right now are going through, or a lot of
right,
us are, where we're having to go through this and trying to figure this out as to how do we work through this, right? Because it's the money, but it's also thinking about as these adult children then take over in taking care of their parents when there's dementia, when
right,
there's, those, because it has to go both ways. It can't just be one part of the family that's giving everything out and the other part just receiving everything. It has to be reciprocal. And that's where a lot of that energy and a lot of the boundaries come in that go, okay, well, you're coming back to live here for a few years, but in a couple of years, probably come live with you for a few years too. Okay,
right. That's just how it's
game
going to
on.
work.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm seeing with this that you just reminded me of, and it's kind of a sad state of affairs for our society, is older individuals who maybe have a disease or um, they are like they have cancer or some form of dementia,
Hmm.
where the family, when everybody's lucid, decides that they're going to get a divorce. So that person can become a ward of the state, so the other one can continue living, because otherwise they lose all of their money paying all these extra things.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and I think that's a horrible
It's a horrible state
outcome.
of affairs. It's pathetic that at this time in our existence that we have to look for loopholes in order for
Right,
people to survive.
right. I mean, divorce shouldn't be a mandatory thing, just so your
No,
surviving spouse or the person
no.
who's not ill doesn't lose everything that the
It's the
partners have
same as
worked for.
getting married or claiming domestic partnership so that your partner can have health care.
Yeah.
It's
It's like
bullshit. It's
there's just so much
it's
like,
bullshit. But the thing is, folks,
oh,
it comes down to family. It comes down to what are we going to do? What is the best thing we can do to help each other? And that's the thing is right now, it's more critical than ever that we're figuring out how do we help each other. And it's it's helping this next generation to say, okay, so maybe we are going the way of the European nations and buying isn't as big a deal of a home. And that isn't the American dream anymore. The American dream is renting and traveling. and
Yeah.
going and doing some other stuff, right? It's reframing that and saying, who says? Who says?
Yeah, I think that is a brilliant point. So we've talked a lot about the kind of grossness of our society that's forced this, and maybe it's kind of a good thing because we're redeveloping kind of like what family should be and maybe how we operate, which isn't a bad thing to look at,
Mhm.
but it should still be a choice. The one thing that I don't think we've talked about, maybe we highlighted a little bit, is who you are when you come back to your family. So I
Mhm.
mentioned like your family remembers you on your old software and all of that. And we've kind of, I don't know, it feels like we've kind of said, this is your ownership. This is what you have to do as a good person or as a good kid or as a good parent, like how you're going to navigate all of that. But you're still totally valid to say, I'm important. This is how I feel about it. And this is how we're going to process. Like, we're not giving you rules saying that to be a good child, you have to let your parents live with you. Or,
No,
yeah,
no, no. And this is again about what we talked about in the very beginning, which is there has to be boundaries.
yeah.
You have got to, this is the bubble we talk about a lot, right? Where
Hmm.
you are putting up that space around you. You still have to do the same thing in these instances and be like, look, you've pushed my buttons as far as I'm going to let you push. We're done.
Yeah, the hard
And
conversations.
right, you and unfortunately, and this is for the kids and the parents, or the kids, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, the whoever's involved in these conversations. But it is the honest, hey, I moved in here and I appreciate you letting me here stay here, but I'm not your maid, right? Is one because using them as a bully pulpit and just getting to tell them that they get to do everything because hey, I'm letting you stay here. Not cool. The
No,
other part of that is you don't get to freeload either. You got to pull
right.
your weight. So
Everybody has to contribute to what's
everyone's
going
got it,
on.
and
Yeah.
it may and contribution does not necessarily mean financial, like you were
No,
saying.
no.
It's showing up. It's being a part of a family meal. It's offering to cook. It's cleaning when somebody else cooks in the house and you say, I got kitchen because you did, you made dinner. I got dishes.
Well, and you can't expect that to unfold naturally. These are the conversations that are going to be tough to have that you've got to have. But
You-
it's funny, like even the youngest the other day was like, asked, well, what is Nana making for dinner? I was like, wait, she's not our chef. Like,
Right.
whoa,
You're like, I don't know.
let's
What
not
are
make
you,
assumptions. What are you
right?
making for dinner?
What are you going and getting for us, kid? That's what I'm hearing from that conversation is since we don't know what's going on, you're going on a food run. Yay.
But the assumption because like food is a love language with her, so
Yeah.
and she makes excellent food and she does make a lot of our meals, but it was just the assumption and she's been here for a few, for a while,
Uh-huh.
and so I don't want to overstate that I have let that grow into that assumption because this was just a couple days ago and I was like, "Oh geez."
Right. You're like, okay, I have boundary things that we
Yeah,
got to do
we
here
we need
too.
to have some of those conversations apparently because my youngest is thinking Nana's the chef. And she is a chef. She's quite good, but
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Anyway, you get my point.
But it is. It's very much around the boundaries. And I would guess, folks, as you're listening to this, whether somebody's living with you right now or has stayed with you, or even your own partner, right? Where you don't remember to set those boundaries, or you have taken advantage of their good nature, which I have done. I'll be the
Mhm.
first to admit that Shane has done some great stuff around here, and I've been very bad about just like, oh, thanks, can you fix this? Yeah, no, it's
Right.
it's boundaries and remembering that you got to give back, right? And you got to say thank you in some sort of capacity in that way. Um, but there needs to be a plan. And
Always.
if you are moving back as a kid, what's your leave date? I want to know. I want to know what your date to get back out is. Or if the
Or
plan is to
maybe you don't
actually,
have a date, but what's your plan?
what's your plan? And if it's that's yeah, good better way to put it is what's your goal? What's your end game here? And if it is, hey, that the conversation is, oh, nope, it's better that we work as a family union. We're all going to invest in a bigger house. Fine. We
Right.
all go in it together. It becomes a group thing and everybody's involved. And
Everybody's on board with, yes, this is what we're going to do.
yes, yes. So that you're taking tangible next steps and actions toward a plan,
Well, and
right?
don't
Because
impose your compound style on your family because they may
no,
be like, no, we're not
right?
doing that.
Right. They might be like, we're comfortable with the old bedroom that you'd converted into a gym. I'm good laying on the rack and
Right.
I just need a place to crash for a couple of weeks, Mom. Leave me alone. But it's going to
Right.
vary for everybody. And until you've asked the questions, I think that can be a very big energy seeker from us. And in just where we are right now, we don't have a lot of room for that. And it's really important that you have those conversations before everybody's settled in and walking in the door, regardless of which direction, right?
Yeah.
Hey there. Every week, Natalie and I talk about our soul pillars on our High Heels to Happy Feels episodes. I would highly encourage you head to immersivespirit.com/soul pillars and check out these free tools. There's different things you can download to learn more about interacting with your body, heart, mind, and spirit, and how easy it is to develop your intuition, even at a much higher level with these free tools. We've loved creating them. We really hope you'll take advantage of them. They are free. Immersivespirit.com/soul pillars. And now back to high heels to happy feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just in talking about boundaries, and I bet you're going to have to tell us what the energy is like for astrology this week, only because boundaries keeps coming up. So I'm wondering if there's
I
something to do with
know.
that.
I know.
But the just understand, folks, like boundaries are not necessarily rejection. That these conversations are hard because sometimes it does feel like rejection when you're setting those boundaries, but it's really just saying this is what I can realistically give.
Yeah.
It's not saying I don't love you or I don't care or I don't think we're equal. It's just saying this is the line and this is where we all need to have an agreement.
I would agree. And I don't think boundaries is probably even the right word, right? It's expectations of each
Yes.
other.
Yes. Yeah.
It's what do you expect of me in this? And here's what I expect of you. Is that fair?
I
Yeah.
think that's a very, yeah. I think
And
that's
you were spot on because in calling this out with the astrology, so we have Mercury retrograde, right, is in Cancer. And Cancer is our sign of home, a family, emotional memory. Mercury retrograde here is almost like a smack in the face of yep, spot on, because it's rehashing, it's all about the rehashing the old family convos, right? So
Yeah.
it's circling the same unresolved who said what, who did this, who did that. What's awesome is it stations direct on Thursday. So all of these, if there's been a stuck conversation about the living arrangements, money, roles that you're playing right now, anything like that, that conversation is going to start loosening up this week.
Which is good
So,
timing because all those kids who are home for college are
mhm.
starting to prepare to go back to their college
Excuse me.
locations. So giving it some time to get those conversations straightened away after retrograde's over, then that's going
Mhm.
to be really helpful.
Yes. And it's interesting. I think the Cancer, the retrograde does kind of a double duty here because it's not just about the family topics, but it's the sign that governs like the emotional regression itself. So the part of us that as a 5-year old, you know, the second we're back in the childhood kitchen, we're reverting to that 5-year-old kid. Or like
Right.
you were talking about going to grandma's, right? As soon as you're there, you were back in that emotional energy. So the sun leaving Cancer and entering Leo this week as well. And that's
Oh.
midweek. So that's going to give us a different kind of power structure. So a little bit of a pivot from who am I with family to who am I as myself and when I'm performing and when, you know, I'm being creative and doing those kind of things, which I think is
Yeah, I think it is good to hear that the energy that we've been kind of experiencing and what started us on this topic is going to kind of be changing midweek
Mhm.
and starting to resolve some of that outstanding maybe trauma or drama or whatever may be happening in your family union.
Yeah. And I mean, it comes and goes, right? Because we also have Jupiter. So Jupiter's all about growth, big optimism. It's going to be opposite Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, which is control, structure, kind of that collective power transformation. And it's all week. So that tension of I want to expand and be free to the tension of who actually holds the money, right? Who holds the key? Who holds the power? And then we have Juno retrograde in Aquarius, which is conjuncting Pluto opposite Jupiter. And that's going to add like a fairness and contract layer of renegotiating who owes what, who's obligated to whom. And that maps straight into like rent and those kind of conversations or caregiving labor or whose role is it, right? It comes
Yeah.
down to really the topic of what we're talking about is whose house is this anyway? So and then the last one I will call out here because we have Saturn stationing retrograde in Aries this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of a big one. So independence won't get rushed right now. It's just, and it's not a punishment, folks. It's just a not yet. That's all. We've got a re-examination to do. Um, yeah, it's a week of
interesting
rebuilding.
timing on that.
Uh-huh. It really is. So it's a work of rebuilding the boundaries with your family because it's
Mm.
slow and it's gonna track for several months. So I mean there's
That is
more there,
really,
but yeah.
I think like if you're struggling with something that's going on with your family right now, it's
Hmm.
just going to be good to kind of have a review of like what role are you in your family and are you still that role and like kind of going through this episode and thinking about your perspective and
Hmm.
what you bring and trying to take a perspective of a family member when you're working through all these questions and the things that you have to resolve to kind of move forward.
Very much so. It's completely examining our role. Uh,
Hmm.
It's like uh, okay, we talked about this a little bit, and I'll just give you a quick personal story. As you know, as everybody knows now, just a little over 2 months ago, coming up on three, I left corporate. And after decades, right? And I still am, almost 3 months into running Immersive Spirit full time. And there's still no aha kind of figure it out moment for me. So the discomfort of that needing support, emotional, not financial as of right now, right? But it's constantly looking and doing the math and doing the math and doing the math and feeling like a little kid. And even when I was back home, so to say,
Right.
last month, you go back to those old roles. And it's an uncomfortable feeling because it's guilt. There's guilt. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not working. Yes, I am. I'm working full time. I'm working more hours now than I was before, but it's not that job. It's not, you know, and no one is saying anything. I am my own worst critic. But those are the kind of things that it's like, I didn't say it out loud. I didn't have that conversation out loud. I might have with you, but I
Right.
didn't with the folks that mattered or that mattered more so in
That we're
terms of
part of that conversation. That,
right,
yeah.
where I felt like where the judgment in my mind might be coming from.
Right.
And there wasn't any. There isn't any. But there's a whole lot of self-guilt that my Virgo energy will put on myself because I'm my own worst critic. And when you look at those kind of things, it all ties directly into my boundaries. It's that guilt. And I do it here too, because it's the guilt of saying I need space. I feel
Yeah.
guilty because I love what I'm doing so much. I feel bad about asking to be alone to do it because I shouldn't want to ask that. Does that make sense? And that is part of the whole energy and the boundary setting about living with and sharing places with other people is having those honest conversations about, okay, this is who I am and this is who I've grown to be. I know I used to be the extrovert party girl. Let's go do stuff. This is really fun. And I wasn't working two full-time jobs and I wasn't building a business and yay me. But
Right.
now I'm not. That's not me. And now I'm doing this and this and this, and I'm building this and this and this, and I'm leaving what I think is a legacy that I am comfortable leaving. And I need space to do it.
I think, again, coming back to what you said earlier when I was talking about boundaries, and you're like, no, it's more about expectations. And it's
Expectations.
the expectations that you think people expect of you or the role that you've played. So this brings me a lot into like our soul pillars,
Yeah.
the mind specifically, because what story am I telling myself? Because our families really do wake up our old narratives. Like, I'm
Hmm.
still the responsible one. I'm still the extrovert. I'm still the social planner for everybody. I'm the person who brings everybody together, is what sounds, you very much are still holding those roles when you actually have to have that conversation of, no, that isn't me at all. That's not who I want to be anymore. I've grown, and you need to respect who I've grown into.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
funny because I think one of my favorite quotes is the one Shane gave me about other people's opinions are none of my business.
Yeah.
And I live for the four agreements, right? Which is all about not living with other people's expectations and not, and I mean, and you just look at it and go, and yet here we are.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because we've been told to people please our entire lives.
It's
And that's
programming.
probably a little
Programming's hard
heavier.
to, yeah. Programming's hard to beat.
It is.
It is. It's very difficult to get past the programming of what we have all been brought up with, what we've been raised with. And as we come back into our homes and into these relationships and into these broader spaces with people, and then reestablishing that to be like, I get that you see me as this 18-year-old that I left for college and, all smiley and life and full of it. But I've had some hardships since then and I've had some ups and downs. And even though your family knows about all of those details, they still see
That role.
the right where there might be a curfew or there might be, did you lock the doors? Did you do this? Did you do? And you're like, nope, I'm a complete moron. Totally didn't do that. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, I get it because I'm going to do the same thing. And so it's getting past the passive aggressive. It's breathing. It's a lot of breath work, a lot of breath work. And like you were just talking about with the body, the heart, right?
Mhm.
Honoring the emotion that you're feeling. I think that is having that emotional honesty, sitting with the emotion that you're feeling, sharing it with people and how you communicate it, right? Having those conversations because
Yeah.
we will take everything and we get mad and it may not be anger at all. It could be grief. It could be something totally different because you could just be very disappointed in somebody. And that is like the worst thing you can ever hear from a parent, right? It's not that they're mad, it's like I'm disappointed in you. Dagger in the heart.
I was very careful when
Ouch.
the kids were growing up not to say that because, yeah,
Oh, oh.
disappointment is a hard one to overcome.
It is, but it's dealing that our heart pillar, I would say, for all of this is honor your emotion, honor it. And if you have to journal it, if you've got to use your little voice recorder, if you need to go outside, scream at the top of your lungs or sing at the top of your lungs or whatever that is, so that you can have an honest conversation with people and settle down, do it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I think that just because we're in the soul pillar still is, let's roll through them.
Yeah.
And so just because we were talking about the heart, and I'm really excited about the body in this because I think our body tells us so much as we're around our family. Like, just think about your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother or your cousins, or like, notice if your shoulders start tightening. Like, there's something in your body that you can lean into because your body, we're telling you folks, somatically, it is going to
Oh man.
respond to things that it will show up first. Your stomach is going to tighten. Like, maybe when you have to go to your parents, you're like, oh, I feel queasy today. May not be that you're ill. It may be that your body's like, you got this going on, and you got to get some things worked out. So pay attention to
Mm-hmm.
your body.
Yep. Oh, I love that because your body will be deadpan with you.
Oh,
If
for sure.
you get sick every time you think of one relative, you got to ask yourself
What
why,
is going on
right?
with that?
I mean, sometimes there's some past things that are bigger,
Mhm.
but a lot of times it's just I don't want to listen to their stories. I don't want to watch
Right.
them chew with their mouth open. I don't want to, and you're like,
They nauseate you, literally. Like
yes, they
check
make
your
you throw
body.
up in your mouth. And so those are the kind of things that you have to think about and go, how do I honor this? Because you can't look at someone, especially somebody who's older, and be like, hey, looking at you eat makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, can we not do that? All right.
So it's
So
choosing, I think that,
everybody's listening going, "Oh my God, they're talking to me."
oh my God,
Because we know you have that family member.
we know you have that family
We
member.
know.
Everyone has that family member. In that case, it's parking them across from somebody else at the table who also chews with their mouth open. Let them have a thing. Let them share.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's get spirit
All
because
right.
we have spirit. So I for this one, I'm gonna say for your spirit, who am I showing up as? Who am
Mm,
I gonna choose to be in this situation? Because this is where you have the most control. This is where your framework is going to be the strongest. It, spirit is not going to be about escaping that situation, right? It's about aligning with it and about how you show up for it. So instead of asking, how am I going to get through dinner? It's who do I want to be when I'm sitting at the table? And that
right.
is, but it's valid, right? Because it's the exact same like what I'm talking about with I know I can't sit across from, you know, Aunt Goofy, whatever, over here and watch this.
Right.
So I'm gonna sit over here across from my mother.
Right. Because if my mother does it, I'll just strip you like, hey.
Right? Yo, I can see your food. Right,
Well,
exactly. Whereas a great aunt or something, you're not going to be as likely to speak up. Or we do have manners, and that's still appreciated. And not everybody's going to just want to hear anybody else blurt out, "Hey, haha, ABC food." I don't want
right.
to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say it. You bring up a really good point about, so as you were saying that, I was thinking, we are not saying that you shouldn't show up exactly as you are
Hmm.
and exactly as you should be. Like, I don't want you to walk into your next family thing and say, well, Stephanie and Natalie said, I got to have my manners. I got to identify who I'm going to show up as. That
Yeah,
is
if you
not at
never
all.
had manners anyway, that's on you. I'll just leave me out of
Well,
it.
right. And you just show up as exactly who you are
Be
and just be
authentic.
ready to have the tough
Right.
conversations
Yeah. Yeah. If you're
if you
willing to
have to.
take on and look at somebody and say, hey, you with the bad mouth eating habits, you go forth and conquer. I'm
Yeah, just
personally,
decide who you're going to be when you show up to that family event.
and
That's
then
all.
follow through.
Right.
Follow through, right?
Be you.
Yeah. Be you. So I would say just tools to take away from this, right? As you think about this and as you're reflecting, walking away, think about a few things. What does contributing actually mean in my house? Is it money? Is it labor? Is it just presence? Is it knowing that you're going to be at dinner and at breakfast every morning before work and after work and so on? And had a few here. Am I staying because I need to or because it's easier? Which I think is when you constantly have to think about. Are you just staying? And I think people that are going through relationship changes um, also deal with this. A lot of times they're going to stay in something because financially it's easier than trying to tear everything down, or
Yeah.
they've got bigger things involved, right? It's the same thing here. And so is a little bit of short-term pain going to be beneficial for your long-term gain? So that's something to think about there.
I think another really important thing is to identify just where you are with your family because maybe family isn't the place where we've done the least growing. Maybe it's simply the place where our growth gets tested the most because strangers only know the version of you that walked into the room today, where your family
Yes,
knows every version of you that has ever been. And somewhere between those two things, we have to decide which version that we're becoming and how we're going to be showing up.
that's so true. And I think it goes right on into, and you kind of said this here too, but the line between honoring your family and abandoning who you are, abandoning
Yeah,
yourself. Don't
that's a
abandon
good,
yourself.
good point. Yep.
This is all around. So if nothing else, go grab the soul pillars, right? Because just figuring out, where am I sitting with this in my mind, in my heart, in my body, in my spirit, and connecting to all of that, write it down. It's kind of like the list we write when we're kids about that perfect mate, right? We write our little dream list about what that mate is when we're young, or the perfect job. And you look at that and go, what's my perfect, not going to take any crap me? Not, here's my lines in the sand.
Right.
And then honor that and stick with it, because that is such a critical piece in
You're order it up.
ordering. I want shrimp with that. But in
That's a
order to protect,
manifesting thing right there. Just order
yeah,
it.
snap, snap, snap. But protect yourself, right? Because you can't lose yourself in this too, or it loses the whole vibration of what makes it special. And it is special. It's a special time. It's a time. I love going to my sister's house. It is full of so much energy. It is absolutely sensory overload for a little bit. I'm absolutely overwhelmed and freaked out for a little bit because I go from a house that has calm and it's super quiet to a house where there is three generations.
Right. That's a little different here at my house.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And it's fun and it's energetic and it's love. And it's house on fire and it's an occasional why, and a lot of door slamming because kids just have zero idea of how loud doors are, and
Right. It's not, yeah, it's not on purpose or anger.
not a
It's just
slam,
like,
it's just a boom, and you're like, oh my
right. Just
god,
walking
that's
through it.
didn't want that wall. It's not a big deal, no big deal.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
eh, but it's lovely because the fact is I get to hear things like, hey, Aunt Steph, love you too. Yay,
Yeah.
heartful.
It's kind of
And
magic too. Yeah.
it is. So you have to decide exactly where your boundaries are, where your expectations are. Set those expectations with the people around you and that you love and that you care about, because that's what it is. All you're doing is honoring each other with love.
That's a good, yeah, that right there is, that's a good way to like put a
Just
pin in it. Well,
yeah.
and ultimately our astrology, like it's gonna start lining back out, except for that
Mhm.
whole Saturn retrograde Aries thing. That's gonna be something, but
And it goes till December, and you have
yeah,
Neptune in
like I
retrograde
figured
too.
that's not
So
gonna be the last time we mention it.
no, no,
Yeah.
it's out on my other podcast, Astrological Insights, but it is that the Neptune, the big four we have going on right now with this shift over the next few days. Won't even get into those here, but yes, there's stuff in the air. Just is. And it's a shift for all of us. Um, but I think it's a positive one if you honor it that way and if you allow yourself to enjoy it as game show night or game night every night and look at it as an adventure instead of as a I don't know, some sort of form of torture.
Yeah, just be who you are. Showing up as yourself all the time is your best answer.
All right. I really do think it's just it's honor. It's
Hmm.
honor through love. But we'll close it
That's a good
there.
way.
Free soul pillars. Immersivespirit.com/soul pillars. Go get these. They are so helpful for you in just the toolkit by itself, right? All the different free downloads that are there for you. It's there's so much great stuff that to help you just really balance things out and to work through it, because there is good writing tools. It's a whole workbook that you get to print out. Um, and I'm betting dollars for donuts, donuts for dollars. I think I want the dollars more right now. Although a donut sounds really good. But
Yeah.
I will bet you money this resonated with somebody. So,
Oh, I'm
pl-
sure.
and probably with like your entire family or somebody that you think should probably be thinking about this that's in your family, share it. We would be honored. Very, very honored. We are almost at 36,000 subscribers. We can't believe how fast it's growing. Help us get to 40,000. Reach that next little mini milestone on YouTube. So shooting for the 40,000 subscribers. So please share, get the word out, and watch for our upcoming. We hope for September is our goal. Knock on wood. For our next iOS, which is our intuitive operating system launch. We have a new session coming up, hopefully in September. So stay tuned for that as well. And then please, 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 Immersive Spirit Town Square. It's immersive-spirit.com. Free for 30 days. Live workshops with us. And by workshops, we mean you're going to do remote viewing. You're going to do aura work. You are going to do your own lunar intention setting for the month in the new moon. You are going to know what house your new moon is in. You're going to get journal prompts every day to help you guide through those astrological cycles. You're going to get intuitive prompts. You're going to have conversations with people. We have creative pathways where you're talking about all sorts of cool stuff all the time. Free for 30 days. Where are
Yeah,
you?
at least check it out.
Good grief. It's free
Good
for
grief.
30 days. Come join workshops and download stuff for free for 30 days, people. Why aren't you taking advantage of this? After that, it's only $11 a month. I mean, 11 bucks a
Right?
month is a steal. So why aren't you there? We'd love to see you. So, Immersive Spirit, it's actually immersive-spirit.com for that one. It's via the Mighty Network. So if you're on the Mighty Network for other different little communities, find Immersive Spirit. Join us. We would love to have you there. I think I've rambled long enough. Did I nail it all?
Yeah, this ending has gone to be one of our longest endings ever, but
Yep.
I think we're good.
Yep. But we were late getting this one done, so we had a lot more to say. What can I tell you?
Right.
All jacked up on caffeine. Okay, that's it. Thanks, everybody, from High Heels to Happy Feels and from Immersive Spirit. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Natalie.
Have a fantastic week ahead. We will see you next week.